I slid into this world on Valentine's Day 1949. I say slid as I weighed only 5 pounds 5 ounces, and probably my mother didn't need to push too much to introduce me to the world. However, I can't have looked too healthy, as to be on the safe side, I was baptised the next day. I was called Anne Patricia Valerie, and I was born under the sign of Aquarius the water carrier. The River Gann ran along the side of Peacefield, the house in Rostrevor where I was born, and then made its way out into the nearby Carlingford Loch. Ironic, as I've always had a fear of water. I had been under the illusion for many years that my birthplace was a cottage called Rose Cottage. More romantic perhaps, but on a recent visit my delusions were shattered, when I found out it was not actually a cottage, was in a state of decay and going to wreck and ruin. A check on my birth certificate confirmed it was called Peacefield. The cottage is still standing, but we moved from there when I was 2 to a large Victorian terraced house which was rented from the local parish. It looked over a large estate which belonged to the Bowes-Lyons family. It is now Kilbrony Park, having been taken over by the local council. Many beautiful Arab horses roamed the huge expanse of meadow. In spring the ground was covered in daffodils. It became our private playground as we grew up. Many happy hours were spent exploring. Every year, Girl Guides and Boy Scouts would pitch their tents in the meadow. In the evenings, my brothers and I would stand at the windows for hours, watching them playing round the campfires and listening to the campfire songs. We did, however, feel sorry for them when it rained and they were mud to the elbows. We lived near the sea, and to find out if the tide was in or out, all I had to do was stand at my front door. On summer mornings we would head off to the beach for the day unaccompanied, and we wouldn't come home until we were hungry. I never went out of my depth, and despite all those hours splashing around in the water, I still can't swim. The house we moved into had been a boarding house run by 2 elderly sisters, and each upstairs room had a bell which had been used to summon the servants from below stairs. Great fun to play with, but a nightmare for Mum down in the kitchen. They were taken out during renovations, which was such a pity. My first memory in my new house was of almost flooding us out. Left to my own devices at about age 3 and after the arrival of a new baby brother, I decided to wash myself. I pulled a small chair over to the hand basin in my mum's room, put in the plug and turned on both taps. I guess the overflow didn't work, because I can remember my mum running out of the kitchen as the water flooded through the ceiling. Her first reaction was to run to a neighbour who happened to be the local constable. I thought he was coming for me, but he quickly found the source of the water and a scared little girl. The chair I stood on was made by my grandfather, who was a carpenter, and I still have it. 4 boys arrived over the next 11 years, and I began to wonder if they were coming from somewhere in my mother's bedroom. Every time she disappeared into that room with the local midwife, another baby appeared. I was 13 when my sister arrived, and this was the first time I worked out where babies came from. I remember at about the age of 5 getting our first television. It was an ugly looking box with a tiny screen, and watching it was an ordeal. TVs in those days had a vertical hold and a horizontal hold. The horizontal hold was to control the picture from continually lilting to the side, and the vertical hold was to stop the picture continually dropping off the screen. We got used to watching every programme through a snowstorm. Reception was awful, and there was only one station. Nevertheless, we had TV nights when the neighbours came in to see something special, had something to eat, and money was raised for the local church. We had a happy childhood. We didn't need Xboxes or TVs. We built pretend houses, we skipped, roller skated, explored and read comics. We attended the matinee in the local cinema on a Saturday afternoon. Saturday was Bunty and Judy for me, and the Victor and the Hotspur for the boys. Comics, in case you haven't heard of them. Food was wholesome but unadventurous. Meals out at an hotel were a treat. There was no central heating in most houses in the 50s. Most mornings I woke up to find ice had formed on the bedroom window. When we were sick, a coal fire was lit in our bedroom. Getting dressed was an ordeal. We tried to do it while still under the blankets. No duvets in those days. I attended the local school. Outside toilets with half doors were the order of the day. Can you imagine it in the middle of winter? The water in the toilet was frozen. The toilet paper was Isel, that's that shiny sort. There was central heating in the school, but why were those crates of milk always set beside the radiators? I can still taste that warm milk. Yuck. My dad had a Ford or an Austin, not sure which, and many times we travelled with him to Dundalk to smuggle home sugar and butter, which were still rationed in the north. We thought it was a great game, and I'm sure the customs officer who asked anything to declare knew we were sitting on something. On one occasion, while on our foray for food, my brother leaned on the back door of the car. There were no safety locks in those days. He must have flipped the handle because he suddenly disappeared out the door. Luckily, the car wasn't going too fast. "Dad, Dad," I shouted as I looked out the back window to see my brother lying on the road. Seems hysterically funny now, but not so then. After the once-over in Daisy Hill Hospital, he was released with a slight concussion. On a final note, bearing in mind what is happening in 2016, the 12th, or the Orange Order Parade, was held in Rostrevor on one occasion. Shopkeepers of every denomination had their stalls out selling Smith's lemonade and homemade sandwiches to those marching and those watching the parade. Our local milkman, an orange man, delivered the milk the night before, apologising profusely for the early delivery. My lovely granny, who owned a pub in Camlick, was visiting. As the parade passed our garden, she waved and was acknowledged by a lot of the marchers, as many were her customers. I remember thinking she was like the Queen. The 50s were an innocent time, but we were now heading for the 60s. One night, a loud explosion shook our house. A bomb had blown up an Ulster Transport Authority bus in the nearby depot. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like it, post a comment and share it with your friends. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel to be informed of future episodes. Thank you.